Decker had asked me to do a quote sticky note activity that Jeff Utech had kind of done when he was here. With, I think admins, he did it like kind of with a small group of people. So the purpose of this is to have a conversation. It's just to start thinking and talking about student use of AI. So I have put up here, quote sticky notes, and then not acceptable, assignment dependent, and acceptable. So if you're in the not like present mode of the slideshow, but the edit mode, you can actually click on them and drag them to the side. So since it's such a small group of us, I'm gonna get in here really quick. Let's just talk about it all together. The ideal would be like you're with your English team, math is, that kind of thing.
We did something very similar to this in 72.
Oh, you did?
We not this, not exactly, but some situations in where we just had conversations at our tables there.
Awesome. So we can talk about it, and you can move them, or you can like not be on your Chromebook and we can just talk, and I'll move them. But this is, again, if you're not using AI with students yet, that's fine. If you're trying it or wanting to try it, wherever you are on the spectrum, it's good to start having these conversations, because we are moving forward with AI in every part of our lives. So that's kind of where this came from. So when we start looking at them, and then, what do you teach? Are you mostly English or math or math? Math, okay. So a lot of these are ELA, that's the easiest. I did throw some math ones in there. And then as we're talking, if you're like, replace the word writing with, like if that can be your mindset, then, So using AI to find sources for a paper, where do we think that would fall? Not acceptable ever, assignment dependent, or acceptable?
Looking for sources, I think that's acceptable. But they're just trying to find sources.
I agree.
Because sometimes
do you want me to move them up? Oh, look, it's gonna do it.
They get stuck with ideas.
Because I'm on the main one, so it'll do it.
As long as they vetted their sources after the AI.
Well, they're just looking for them right now.
But great point, right?
Yeah.
So that needs, that
That's a whole
component
other
needs to be
conversation.
taught. How about using AI to brainstorm ideas?
Yes.
Acceptable? Well, come over here and sit. How about using it to write a rough draft?
I think either no or like super assignment dependent.
If directed to by the teacher.
It depends on the assignment though. Like, it's I feel like it's like using a calculator in math. If the goal is to learn how to multiply, then no. If the goal is to solve this equation, multiplication is, I don't want that to get in the way of solving the equation. So that's the way I would look at it. But I don't teach ELA, so I would defer to experts.
Like if they were writing a thesis and they weren't quite sure what that was, I think it would be fine for them to go in and say, write a thesis for this topic, so they could see what it looked like.
Like an example?
The components, yeah.
Yeah, and maybe like not their topic.
Right.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. I'm gonna put it, you said super assignment dependent. How about if do we agree to put it like right here?
Sure. Right.
Yeah. I can see at middle school that's like a tough one, because they're still learning all of those processes. To me, if they were way out of the like, I got this down, I'm drafting stuff, and you've moved beyond that skill, maybe. How about we'll do a low hanging fruit. Students using AI to write an entire paper.
Yeah.
No. I agree, yeah. How about using AI to answer questions about content?
Is it an assignment? I mean, it would depend, they would still need to vet the source of the AI. Like, where did AI find it? Something dot biz? No. But if it was, .edu, .org, maybe.
So maybe that assignment dependent.
I don't know.
So if they were researching the Holocaust,
Mhm.
there were, there's sites out there written by people who don't believe the Holocaust actually happened.
Mhm. Well, and I think, putting an assignment dependent is, if your goals and standards are about the process, not maybe the content, right? And they wanna write about frogs or something, right? So that's like where, to me, it's dependent. How about using AI to summarize content being read for a paper?
So like they copy paste an article into AI to summarize it?
Sure, that would be, one case.
It would depend on what they were gonna do with that afterwards, cause it's just getting a short summary of what that, they have to do something with it.
Yeah.
The assignment would be, I would assume, that you're summarizing, getting a summary of this article, and then you have to do something with it.
Is the assignment to write a summary? Or is the assignment to read 5 articles and include the information from it to write a paper? Or is it being used by somebody with a lower reading level who just needs the bullet points?
Right. So I'm feeling like this right here. Assignment, and maybe even I would put a / assignment in student, because that's a great point, right? You have students who can't access, they can't access it, but if you give them a bridge to do that, then. Okay. How about, using AI for grammar and spell check?
That's absolutely appropriate, unless it's a grammar assignment.
Yeah.
Unless it's editing or
Is
something.
it a spelling test?
Right, but if it's just to write a paper and make sure everything's spelled right, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard not to do that with, Google automatically does that for you.
Yeah,
Right.
it does.
I watched a kid on LimeWise too, he was doing the iReady diagnostic, and he was using AI, and he was putting the questions in, but he wasn't getting the answers that he wanted.
What was he using?
So he
Did you
kept-
see what he was using?
Chat GPT.
There's a math one, I've seen my math kids, they type in the assignment, or the problem, and it gives them the answer. But I've seen them do that too.
He kept flipping back and forth to it, and,
They're very savvy,
yeah.
very savvy.
Freeze his
Mhm.
tabs.
But I wasn't gonna say anything, I just wanted to watch what he was doing.
Sure.
Yeah, I was curious.
Yeah, and, on his diagnostic or just his?
On his diagnostic, yeah.
Yeah, let me, you can block it for your class when you, chat GPT for your class when you do those.
Okay.
They're sneaky though, cause they can get to the AI through like Google Docs. They will find you.
Always one step.
Yes.
Probably 5 steps.
How about using AI for feedback on style and tone? So they're, like, they've written something.
I think so,
At least most of the time.
yeah,
Unless,
to get feedback, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So maybe in between.
Because for us to give feedback that quick, they're not gonna get it.
Yeah.
We've got 150 papers to grade, and they're not gonna get immediate feedback.
Right.
But with that, they will get an idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes, how great would it be as an ELA teacher for all the students, like if you had a designated AI that they could use, they plug in their paper for that first round. So that you guys don't, you can actually deal with the real writing versus, oh, there's no periods in this, what do you, kind of thing. I mean, that could be powerful for you guys. And then kind of the same vein, students getting some feedback on how to improve writing. That's kind of like the same thing, I think. What time are we supposed to be moving here? I'm gonna go to
150.
In 3 minutes.
3 minutes. Okay. How about using AI for calculations? I switched to the next page.
It would depend on what I want from them, and that's it. If it's to check, can they multiply, then no. If it's to check that they can do a two-step equation, then I give them a calculator anyways.
Sure.
So that one's dependent, it depends on what the skill I'm trying to assess is.
Okay. What about asking AI, and this could go for either content, for step-by-step tutorials on how to do something? Like, solving algebraic equations or something.
I think as long as they didn't put in like, here's my problem, and get it that way, if they use it to get an example, I would be okay with that. Because they still have to take that and work it.
Apply it.
To what they have to do specifically. Probably okay with it. As long as they did an example and not the exact.
And that would be some pretty explicit modeling and teaching of how to use AI on your
Right.
part, on the teacher's part.
And I use it a ton myself.
And a lot of them just go to YouTube and look for a tutorial.
Which I'm fine with that too.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you gonna do it like teacher one?
Am I gonna do a teacher one? Say more about that.
Stuff. Teach us teachers using AI.
In this session?
No, at some point.
Oh, I'm like,
Not today.
well, we have a minute and a half.